Do you have a forgetful fur baby? Or is your dog a magic memory mutt? Do you have the kind of pup who regularly loses their way on your daily walking route? Or the kind who remembers where your things are better than you do? You want your dog to be able to remember the good times the two of you have had together, and most of all, to remember you. Will your dog forget you if you go away for a while? Do they miss you when you're not around? By the end of this video, you will be an expert in mutt memory. But before we dive in, why not subscribe and join our canine-loving community for more videos about your pooch? Will your dog forget you if you go away for a while? Well, you know you can trust your pup to remember where the cheese is. And for sure, they will not forget about you if you leave for a few hours to go to work, maybe even for a couple of days to travel or visit your family. But what if you have to leave them for longer? This question is often most troubling for people who are about to head off to college for the first time, leaving their childhood dog at home with their parents. Things like that are already a huge transition. The last thing you need on top of that is to worry about your fur baby forgetting who you are. So, we're here to reassure you that dogs have a much better memory than people give them credit for, and will absolutely remember you, even if you're gone for months at a time. Apart from anything else, they'll likely have a lot of reminders of you around the house. Just like how you might keep a photo of your dog to remind you of them, your dog might take comfort in items around the home that carry your scent. Even something as simple as a stray sock can become a beloved reminder for a dog who is missing their human. Do dogs remember their previous owners? Okay, so we know that our dogs can remember us over a period of months, but what about years? If you adopted your dog from a shelter, you might wonder whether they remember their previous humans. On the other hand, if you've ever had to make the heartbreaking decision to entrust your fur baby to a new forever family, you might wonder whether they've since forgotten you. Some of you might already know the answer to this. Unfortunately, not all dogs in shelters end up there because their humans passed away or were unable to care for them due to a change in personal circumstances. A lot of shelter dogs are there because of past abuse or neglect, and people who have had the experience of taking in one of these unfortunate fur babies will know that they can often carry trauma from their troubled past. Dogs who have been abused in the past might react negatively to people who remind them of their abusers, to the extent that some dogs will even have restrictions placed on who can adopt them. Dogs who have been abused by a male owner in the past, for example, may develop a phobia of men that requires them to have a female owner. When you leave your dog alone, do they understand that you're coming back? Well, this one is a matter of time and trust. What do we mean? The first time you leave your dog alone in the house, they might wonder whether you're coming home again. At all. And when you do come back, you might find that they get overly excited in welcoming you home. As time goes on, however, you'll find that they'll start to get a sense of your routine. Dogs are good at picking up patterns, and a 2011 study showed that they have the ability to recognize when their human has been gone for a longer or shorter amount of time, getting more excited when their person comes back after 4 hours than after 2 hours. As a result, once they realize that you leaving home at around 9 a.m. means you'll be back at around 5 p.m., they'll stop worrying when you're still not in the house at 4:30. After a while, most dogs will realize that their human will always come home, no matter how long they're gone. Sometimes a dog's faith in their human's return can be heartbreakingly strong. Consider the case of Hachiko, a Japanese dog who would walk with his human, a university professor, to the train station every morning and then meet him there again in the evenings when he came home again. One day, Hachiko's owner unexpectedly suffered a cerebral hemorrhage at work and passed away. He never returned to the station, but Hachiko could be seen there every evening for the next 9 years, patiently waiting for the evening train that, he believed, would bring his master home. If Hachiko could keep his faith that his owner would return for nearly a decade, your dog can certainly manage a few hours. If you accidentally hurt your dog, will they hold it against you? Dogs can remember when people hurt them. That's why they're capable of remembering traumatic experiences that they've had with former owners. But there's some good news for those of you who are now wallowing in guilt over accidentally shutting your pup's tail in a door or stepping on their foot. Dogs may be capable of remembering when somebody has hurt them, but they're also capable of understanding apologies. Puppies learn how to make and accept apologies from a very young age. They have to. Young and old dogs play by biting and pretending to attack each other, and it sometimes takes them a while to figure out how far they can go in their play before it becomes real fighting. If a dog nips their playmate a bit too hard, they will apologize by backing off immediately and then grooming them to say sorry. This is kind of similar to how humans will often react to accidentally hurting their pets. We say sorry, we back off, and then we pet them to make up for it. As long as you follow this ritual, your pup will realize that you didn't mean to hurt them after all. Does your dog remember all the good times you had together? It doesn't matter much if your dog can't remember where they left their favorite squeaky toy for the 6th time in a row. We just want them to be able to remember the important things. But we can't really test exactly how they remember past events. It's not like we can ask them after all. However, in a very recent study, scientists have managed to shed some insight on a dog's ability to remember specific elements of their past. Scientists looked at how dogs responded to toys that they hadn't seen for a period of 2 years. When the toys were reintroduced, the dogs not only recognized them, but were able to remember which names were associated with which toys about 60% of the time. If you've ever found yourself trying to remember exactly what your dog's favorite plushie is called, you might be having a crisis about your own memory at this point. Does your dog miss you when you're not around? If you've ever had puppy eyes following you as you're making for the door to go to work, you know how heartbreaking it can be to leave your furple behind. And once you close the door, you have no idea how long they're sitting there sullenly on the doormat. Do they really think you're leaving them behind voluntarily? Well, if a dog is fairly confident in you and loves you to the moon with their little heart, they will likely get extra excited when you come home again. If they're left with another human, like a sitter or a dog walker, then they might also react when they hear your name mentioned, possibly by getting excited or even searching the room for you. Otherwise, however, they should be able to carry out their daily activities without you being there. They might sleep a bit more, so they can be more awake when you come home again. But they won't be sitting around all day feeling miserable and waiting for you to walk through the door. If your dog does seem to get unusually upset by your absence, and especially if they start exhibiting negative behaviors like soiling in the house or tearing up the furniture, then that can be a sign of separation anxiety. This is more common in dogs who have experienced a past trauma and can be helped by providing your dog with more toys to distract themselves with while you're gone. It can be heartbreaking when your fur baby is scared or upset by something harmless, like a thunderstorm or a vet visit, but you can't explain to them that there's absolutely nothing to be afraid of. Don't you wish that you were Dr. Dolittle? Check out this video for tips on how to communicate with your dog and how to understand when they try to speak with you.